From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your evening update.
American Door Company has been family-owned and operated for over 29 years, supplying Northern California with quality garage doors, garage door openers, and installed with the best service you'd expect from a locally owned company. We serve all of Northern California from Willows all the way up to the Oregon state line. Give us a call today.
Well, happy Tuesday evening to everyone. I'm meteorologist Mike Kruger. This is your evening update. Before we get started with your deeper dive forecast, let's get you to your Kruger's Quickcast. We're going to look at the forecast over the next 24 hours in about a minute or two. We take a look at the forecast for tonight. Yeah, this is one of those nights you can open up the windows, let in some of that cooler air before it warms up later in the afternoon. Temperatures tonight in the mountains mainly in the 40s, and we're talking low to mid 50s here along the coast. Let's get you out the door tomorrow morning for your Wednesday morning. Looks like we are going to see those temperatures, yeah, somewhere in the low to mid 60s by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for the valley, low to mid 50s for pretty much the coast, and not to mention in the higher elevations. Let's take a look at your future cast, and I don't anticipate a lot of activity out there. However, it looks like as we go through the afternoon, we may see some afternoon cumulus clouds in the higher elevations. That's those puffy clouds that develop in the afternoon. Some of those may develop into a shower and maybe even an isolated thunderstorm. But it's one of those situations where it's going to be few and far between, so most of you will most likely remain dry throughout the day on Wednesday. But again, there could be a pop-up shower or thunderstorm in some spots here. The smoke will continue to be an issue, especially in northern Trinity County and western Siskiyou County, as we go into tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. All right, so here's your forecast for tomorrow, looking at below normal temperatures, low to mid-90s, once again for your daytime highs in the valley. And for the mountains, we're talking temperatures mainly in the 80s and low to mid-60s out along the coast. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook. You can see that overall trend is going to stick around for a while. You know, the thing is, typically in the summer we see a nice little drop in temperatures and then it goes right back up to 100 degrees or higher. But look at that long range. We're not seeing any heat up anytime soon. So yes, this cooler weather, it's going to stick around for a while. The coast, of course, no big changes, low to mid 60s there. There will be some clearing some afternoons, some days better than others, quite honestly. But overall, partly to mostly cloudy skies there. And of course, those temperatures staying below normal, even for the inland areas and for Trinity County. For Siskiyou County, Modoc County, and the Eastern Mountains, I will say this, and that it does include, by the way, for Trinity County as well. As we go into your Wednesday, we may see a stray shower, thunderstorm for places like Mount Shasta, maybe Alturas, maybe even northern Trinity County. By Thursday, even Susanville, all three of these areas could see an afternoon shower or thunderstorm again. But once, as I mentioned, it's few and far between, so most likely, most of you will stay dry in there. And then, of course, as we go into Friday, it should dry out and keeping those temperatures below normal in the long range. All right, let's get to your deeper dive forecast, and we start off with your weather headlines. Don't forget, of course, cooler weather lasts into early next week, with that chance for those isolated mountain thunderstorms I was talking about. Now, we've got the possibility of stronger winds, by the way, going into the weekend. This is going to most likely elevate our fire danger later this week into the weekend. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail. And then slightly warmer next week, but not a big increase. We don't have a big heat wave or even really much of a heat wave heading our way anytime soon. But again, the winds, not only in the longer range, but even over the next few days, we've got a few areas we've got to watch, like the north and west side of the valley later tomorrow afternoon. You see how we're seeing gusts even around Redding over 25 miles per hour. In the eastern mountains, still pretty gusty there as well. And we've also got to watch the area of the Boise fire. You can see those winds picking up over 20 miles per hour there. That area is shaded in green, as a matter of fact. Now, let's take you into your Thursday. And you can see the winds may not be quite as strong for the valley, but still a little gusty. 15 over 20 miles per hour for the north and northwest side of the valley. Still a little gusty in the eastern mountains, but it looks like as we go into where the Boise fire is, maybe not as bad, but still a little gusty at times. We take a look at your relative humidity, and you can see around, of course, the Boise fire, it looks pretty good. Some pretty high relative humidity levels there. However, still fairly dry, despite the fact that humidity levels are up from last week and really the last several weeks. So at least have that. Cooler temperatures and slightly higher relative humidity. That is helping in the firefighting efforts. Now, let's talk about our fire weather risk, because again, as those winds pick up, as we go into Wednesday, you can see again that northwest side of the valley, we are seeing the higher fire weather risk, that is. Otherwise, you can see mainly in the low to moderate range here from many of the higher elevations. Now, as I mentioned, those winds are dying down for the valley on Thursday, so as a result, we're back down to moderate fire weather risk. So once again, keep in mind when we look at this, categories, basically what it's looking at is temperatures, humidity, and the winds. So you combine all three factors, and that's what gives us that fire weather risk. So with temperatures down, humidity levels up a little bit here, and those winds down by Thursday, our fire weather risk does begin to drop. All right, let's take a look at Futurecast. And as I mentioned, what's going to happen over the next few days is this. As we go into Wednesday afternoon, what we're going to see is these afternoon puffy clouds developing. Now, some of those could develop into a stray shower or even a thunderstorm if we can just squeeze out enough of that available moisture, right? And then, of course, maybe some clearing for some of us along the coast. Now, as we go into Thursday, I'm pretty much expecting the same situation. It may be a little bit more focused to the north and east, though, as we go into Thursday. So maybe a little less activity here for Siskiyou County and northern Trinity County, but mainly into Modoc County and into parts of northern Lassen County as well. That's Thursday. But again, I want to stress the fact that this is going to be few and far between both tomorrow and Thursday. So don't anticipate a lot of activity out there or even a lot of lightning strikes for that matter. Now, Friday, we could continue that trend to the north and to the east here. And that could include even northern portions of Trinity County. But by Saturday, Sunday, it looks like that trend may begin to move on out. But you can see these weak disturbances kind of passing through to our north that could continue to bring some chances here toward the weekend and early next week as well. But this right here is all of that monsoon moisture. That's the main tap of moisture that can bring us the chance for thunderstorms. Now, it looks like this area of low pressure does have some available moisture, and that's why we are seeing some of those thunderstorms possibly popping up over the next few days. So it's not necessarily much in the way of monsoon moisture, just some available moisture coming in from the system that's coming in from the Gulf of Alaska. That's the system right here. So you see how it's moving off to the east through Wednesday and Thursday. It's mainly staying to the north through the end of the week, but by Thursday into Friday, we're going to see a piece of energy break off. So the main source of cold air is not moving over us, but it's bringing some of that cooler air to the south. Pacific Northwest will really feel those cooler temperatures. And you can see this is going to turn into what we call a broad trough of low pressure. So we've got this area of low pressure right here, another one developing here. The flow around all that, the flow in that trough, we're in the positioning where it's kind of in that southwesterly flow of winds. This is when we could be looking at those winds beginning to pick up by the time we do get into the weekend. And it may even linger on into next week because that low pressure system will continue to dive down to the south and stay in place. Once again, we're in that flow, that southwesterly flow of winds, keeping things a little bit on the gusty side as we go into Monday. But that could probably continue into Tuesday and Wednesday, despite the fact that this low pressure system is moving a little bit more to the north. But it's going from cool to more mild weather. So temperatures may be a little bit warmer here, but this is going to prevent this heat from moving on in. And that's the key to at least our temperatures, that it's not going to get quite as hot. This is going to keep that from really building in. But if we're talking about the winds, again, this could be something we've really got to watch here. And there's a bit of a concern because when we have a southwesterly flow of wind, that's the ideal wind to have because at least it has some cooler and not to mention some a little bit more moisture associated with it. Not a lot, but can typically have a little bit more humidity associated with it. When we have winds coming in from the north, a couple of things. Number one is coming from the landmass, which is dry, but number two, as it moves down the mountains, it compresses and heats up, and that also dries things out. So a north wind is less favorable than, say, a south-southwest wind. But bottom line, when you have a fire, it doesn't care what direction those winds are blowing from. So we've really got to watch that closely here as we get into the end of the week, really this weekend and early next week. But in the meantime, you know, just a couple of days where we can see those kind of gusts pick up a little bit here and there. Cooler than normal temperatures. Yes, that's the one good thing coming out of that area of low pressure is just really dropping our temperatures. And you can see the normal high is this blue line. That's 99 degrees for Redding. We're going to be below that for the next 10 days. We're going to be below 100 degrees. Can you believe it? In August? Hey, we'll take it. Absolutely. Let's take a look at those wave heights. And you can see as we go into your Wednesday, they're going to increase a little bit. All right, we're going to take it into the next 24 hours after that into your Thursday. Now you have to look closely. You're not going to see much change there. All right, let's take a look at our forecast here for tonight. Temperatures are going to drop down. You saw a little bit earlier, upper 50s to low to even some mid 60s. So it's cooling off for those overnight lows. In the mountains, we're in the mid to upper 40s. For the coast, mid 50s. All right, we take a look at your forecast here and your Trinity County neighborhood forecast. There you can see those temperatures for the next 7 days are going to be in the mid to upper 80s. You'll notice those temperatures will be in the upper 80s, places like Weaverville about 88, 87 for Lewiston, and Ruth about 80 degrees. All right, we take you off to the west here. There's the North Coast neighborhood forecast. Those temperatures in the low to mid 60s with those overnight lows in the low to mid 50s. Temperatures are going to be somewhere in the mid 60s for those daytime highs. We take you up north, 73 for Gas Key, 65 degrees for Smith River, and Orleans a high of about 80 degrees, low to mid 80s for those daytime highs. Let's take a look at your Siskiyou County neighborhood forecast, and you can see those temperatures upper 70s to low 80s for the next 7 days. Again, if we're talking showers and thunderstorms, I think we could see it Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe even into Friday for Siskiyou County. Your Modoc County neighborhood forecast, same situation. Wednesday, Thursday, and maybe Friday, a chance for a few stray thunderstorms. Here's a look at your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast. Those temperatures mid to upper 80s. Your 7-day outlook for Susanville is in the mid 80s on average, give or take. Wednesday, not so much. But Thursday, maybe Friday, could see a chance for a stray shower, maybe a thunderstorm as well. Let's take a look at your Valley neighborhood forecast with temperatures in the low 90s. Absolutely gorgeous. Temperatures are dropping, though, for places like Chico down to 88 degrees by Sunday. Up north, about 93 degrees for the city of Shasta Lake, 89 for Whiskeytown, and Cottonwood a high of about 93 degrees. Here's a look at your 7-day outlook for Redding. We've got those temperatures in the low to mid 90s through Friday. Temperatures dropping slightly over the weekend, back up in the low 90s, around 91 to 93 for Redding on Monday and Tuesday. That's your evening forecast. We'll see you here tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and, of course, Coffee with Kruger at 7 a.m. live on Coffee with Kruger.
Cottonwood Small Animal Clinic is one of the only clinics in the area that can see your pet same day and for evening emergencies. We're always striving to improve the care that we give to your pets.
Here at Cottonwood Veterinary Clinic, we have 10 brilliant doctors here to provide your pet with amazing collaborative care. From not only your dog to your cat, but also your gecko, your horses, your goats, and your cows. Come on down and see us. Both clinics are located in the heart of Cottonwood.